In the beginning was Daytona.
Here we go.
The birthplace of speed, the launch pad of legends, the great American race.
Oh, they're in the wall.
It's always been,
Keep digging, stay in the gas.
and will always be, the proving ground for greatness.
Let's go, boys. Woo!
Every driver looking to be remembered. Every fan looking for something they'll never forget. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Roll Tide and welcome to this Tuesday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. This is Roger Hoover with you from our studios in Tuscaloosa, as we're certainly excited for everything coming up during a very busy week of Alabama athletics, including the final home football game of the 2023 season. We'll go through everything coming up on our show today, thanks to our friends at RJ Young. RJ Young is the official technology solutions provider of Crimson Drive. They've given us this smartboard to go through everything in a really interactive way throughout our show and our headlines today. First things first, we'll be talking with Chris Braswell, an outstanding linebacker for the Crimson Tide, one of our first conversations with him this season, get his thoughts on Alabama's strong play this year, and then we'll go back to Lexington and take a look at the booth cam highlights from the Kentucky game. A lot of fun inside the booth as Alabama picked up the 49-21 win over the Cats. Then we'll hear from the head coach of the Crimson Tide, Nick Saban, with Coach's Checklist, a pretty interesting edition of Coach's Checklist coming up. You'll have to watch to find out why, and then we'll have Be Kind Crimson Tide Rewind as we take a look back to last night's edition of Crimson Tide Rewind from Baumhauer's in Vestavia Hills. Get some thoughts from Corey Reamer. Mentioned that football team looked really strong again on Saturday, picking up a 49-21 win against Kentucky. With that victory, Alabama clinching the SEC Western Division title. So we do know that in 3 weeks, it'll be Alabama against Georgia in the SEC Championship game on December 2nd in Atlanta. Jalen Milroe, more weekly honors for him, including being named one of the Manning Stars of the Week. And also, we learned yesterday the Iron Bowl will kick off at 2:30 on CBS down on the Plains. Of course, our radio coverage that day will start at 11:30 for Alabama against Auburn. And don't forget, this week, Alabama against Chattanooga, an 11 a.m. start time for the game. We'll hit the radio at 8 a.m. For Crimson Tide basketball, the first week of the season is in the books as both Alabama men's and women's basketball are off to perfect starts to the season at home. The women's team on Sunday capped the week with their third win of the week, picking up an 85-44 win against Morehead State. Now coming up this Thursday, a terrific matchup inside Coleman Coliseum. USF is coming to town, and the Bulls are the reigning AAC champions. They've been a mainstay in the NCAA tournament the last few years. Should be a terrific matchup again. Alabama against USF coming up this Thursday at 6 p.m. For the men's team, it's only tonight. You don't have to wait too many more hours for Alabama to be back at home against South Alabama. The last 2 years, we've seen USA and UA play really entertaining ball games that went down to the wire, so we expect something similar tonight. We also expect to see more scoring from Aaron Estrada, Grant Nelson. Terrific first two games they showed last week here at home. Coming up on Friday, Crimson Tide will be home again against Mercer. Don't forget, with the 7 p.m. tip-off, our radio coverage for the next two ball games will start at 6 p.m. right here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network, and a booth cam, a courtside cam available as well for Alabama coming up. Some other notes around Crimson Tide athletics. We love the Crimson Tide soccer team, especially when they win in the NCAA tournament. Strong 2-goal victory over Western Carolina. Italia Gemelli, Macy Clem scoring for the Crimson Tide to get that win over the Western Carolina Catamounts, the reigning SoCon champion. Now he gets to take on North Carolina, a team Alabama played well, had a draw against earlier this season. It'll be a 2:30 start time in Chapel Hill. Certainly a tall order for the Crimson Tide, but as we saw last year, and we've seen a lot this season, this is a really resilient group. Best of luck in the second round of the NCAA tournament to Wes Hart and the Crimson Tide soccer team. For the volleyball team, at home against Florida, fell 3-0 against the Gators on Sunday. Now coming up this next Sunday, it'll be a 1 o'clock start time at Georgia as Rashinda Reed will visit her alma mater, so we look forward to seeing the volleyball team back in action later on Sunday. Chris Braswell has been in action plenty this season for the Crimson Tide defense, making some of the most notable plays of the year, and he joins us as one of our one-on-one conversations this week on Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Chris, Roll Tide, what's made this season special for you and your Crimson Tide teammates?
We've had a great year. Obviously we had a loss, and that kind of hurt us, but we bounced back. Then we got back to the Bama standard and the DOA standard.
And for this Crimson Tide team, getting to the quarterback, affecting the passing game of opponents, how well has Alabama done and really grown week to week in that area?
Yes, we've done a really good job getting to the quarterback and, creating havoc, creating pressure. as a defense, we strive for, making our opponents quit. And, we made a new term, which is DOA, dead on arrival. So, we strive to play to that standard every single game.
We really saw that in the Tennessee game on your hit on Joe Milton. The ball gets loose. Jahad Campbell takes it in for a touchdown. Just kind of walk us through that play from your perspective.
So I don't know if anyone noticed, but during the game, I kind of tried that same move, but it didn't work. So when I seen the play action again, I was like, I'm just going to dead man rush it, act like I'm not coming, and then just kind of, just take off. And I took off, swiped his hands away, bent the edge, and I seen Milton right there, and I just tackled him. I didn't even know the ball came out.
Yeah, it was a great moment for Jahad Campbell. He's had to step up. Tresman Marshall a couple times with Deontay going out with injuries. How have you seen them step up this year?
All of our linebackers are great. Jahad Campbell. All the linebackers that's in the linebacker group, they're great, and they've all done a tremendous job when coming into the game. You never know when your name's gonna be called, and I think they did a very great job in preparing for all of the games.
We heard a lot about the Cheetah package last year. This year, the Raptor package. How much fun are plays like that when all of you guys are getting to the quarterback?
It's very fun. I don't know what pass rush in America doesn't like third down. So we strive to get to that third down. Obviously, that comes with stopping the run on first and second down. But when it's third down, it's go time. It's fun time. Everybody in jet mode. Everybody wants to get to the quarterback. It's like a race.
Last home game of the season at Bryant-Denny Stadium this year. What has the fan support meant to you over the last few games?
The fans been great. Tennessee, LSU, those were big games, big home games, and the fans turned out. Those two games probably one of the loudest I've ever heard here. It was great.
What's going to be most important on Saturday against Chattanooga?
We just have to, contain the quarterback and just play to the DOA standard and Bama standard and execute, and don't let this be a trap game.
Chris Braswell, done a great job for Alabama this season. Just thank you for your time. Roll Tide.
Appreciate that. Roll Tide.
NASCAR is kicking off the 2024 regular season with the Daytona 500 on February 18th, 2024. Don't miss out on this bucket list event at one of NASCAR's most iconic tracks. More than 100,000 fans will be on the edge of their seat as they watch drivers race for the win at nearly 200 miles per hour. Bring your whole family to this once-in-a-lifetime event and get ready to experience one of the best atmospheres in sports. Purchase your tickets today at Daytona500.com. Great conversation with Chris Braswell, and also coming up on our Thursday edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR, we look forward to visiting with Crimson Tide center Seth McLaughlin. Again, Alabama picked up a strong victory against Kentucky this past Saturday. We had the Royal Furniture booth cam up and running. We know a lot of you watched that, and now we wanted to make sure you saw the highlights from what turned out to be a really special day as Alabama clinched the SEC Western Division title. Here's Chris Stewart, Tyler Watts on the call of Alabama's win against Kentucky.
9:45 and moving. Time left first quarter. Milroe with plenty of time. Looking down the middle. Wide open. Catch made. Black touchdown. Alabama a 6-0 lead. 9:38 to go first quarter. 26 yards on the pitch and catch for the opening score. Pressure coming from both edges. Up the middle and down goes the quarterback, Devin Leary. He was picked up and planted back around the 10. Chris Braswell recording the first sack of the game for the Alabama defense. Milroe on the shotgun, stepping up in the pocket, looking, firing downfield, has a man. Catch is made. Touchdown, Alabama. Kobe Prentice on the receiving end of a beautiful wafted pass for the quarterback, Leary, who will throw left side. Catch is made, and then the ball pops loose. It's loose. Bama's going to pick it up, staying on his feet, diving, and just shy of the goal line. Now Bama, everybody bunched up. Quarterback sneak, pushing the pile forward, and that looked like Alabama. Touchdown, Crimson Tide. Jalen Milroe on the quarterback keep, still on his feet, finally brought down right at the 25. Boy, he took a pounding to get where the ball would have been had he just taken a fair catch, but Tide with starting field position around the 25 or 26.
Every week you and Eli talk about that. Catch the fair catch. And you're absolutely right. The ending position is the same, but Kendrick Law, the ball in his hands, he can be electric. And I'm telling you, it's a matter of time before they figure this thing out and they're able to break one for the house.
I wasn't criticizing him. I was just saying he took a whooping that he didn't need to take. He snaps it at one. Jalen looking, scrambling to his right, directing traffic, looking downfield, has a man, catch made Williams, 10, 5, end zone, touchdown, Alabama. Roy Dell Williams. Leary operating from the pistol again, looking, firing left side, that one is going to be picked off. Terry and Arnold jumped the route. Arnold with the pick, his second of the year.
A deep 10, 12-yard out across the field. That's a long throw for any quarterback. Terry and Arnold had plenty of time to stay in the hip pocket of the receiver, the slot receiver, and then break on the football and undercut it.
Milroe getting the snap. Looking, firing, has a man, catch made, down to the 15-yard line. First down, Alabama. Kobe Prentice, another grab as the Tide lose the 6 inside the Chick-fil-A red zone.
The protection up front obviously was good, but you have two receivers working as safety. You cut one, he bites up. That allows Prentice to get open across the middle once again.
Jalen waiting on the snap with two wide outs to the right side. He'll run behind McClellan. He'll get to the goal line. He'll get in the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. Gets the shotgun snap. Looking, backpedaling, pressure coming. He's sandwiched, and he goes down at the 14-yard line.
And what I'm loving about the pass rush today, it's not going upfield and creating a pocket. It's just a push, a consistent push across the board. You can't bounce it to the outside. There's nowhere to step up into.
Kool-Aid will have a chance to return this one, starting at his 35. Cuts it up the middle, midfield, 45, lowers his head, runs over a man, and is finally brought down at the 36 of Kentucky. Hey, Kool-Aid, nice run. Quarterback Jalen Milroe operating under center. Quarterback sneak, nowhere to go. Bama trying to push him forward. Did he get to the goal line? Boy, it's going to be close. They're going to have to unpile it to give us the signal. I'm going to need verification from two sources this time, and I got it.
You needed one,
Not
baby.
just you.
Just needed one.
I didn't mean you, but I needed two officials because one gave it to us last time. Touchdown, Bama, putting Bama on top, 41-14. He'll hand it off to Jam. He'll try to get left edge. No. Play action. Rolls right. Fires. Catch made. Pretty good fake there as Hale was on the receiving end. Really good ball fake on the part of Ty Simpson. Simpson with a man in motion right in Prentice. Tide looking, stepping up in the pocket, makes a man miss, gets to the 15, to the 10, to the 5, knocked down after he picks up the first down. They'll bring Oots in tight to the left side after he had initially been a wide out. Handoff, Miller cuts it back and into the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama. Crimson Tide extending their lead. It's now 48-14 with 9:46 to go.
On Mondays here in Tuscaloosa, it's always great to hear from the head coach Nick Saban as he gets really the week started. A few thoughts from him about the Kentucky game, but especially looking forward and talking about what he likes to see from players. A really entertaining edition of Coach's Checklist from Coach Saban's press conference on Monday.
All right, obviously, this was a, great win for us, really good for our team to come out, start fast in the game, play fast, obviously ready to play. So I think the big point of emphasis that, we'd like to make moving forward is we still got to stay focused on execution. It's not just about making plays. And most of the issues that we have in games, offense, defense, doesn't really matter, come down to are we communicating and is everybody on the same page? And when we do that, we seem to have really good results, and sometimes when we don't, we give up plays that we probably shouldn't, give up. So, that's going to be the big point of emphasis in watching the film today with the players, is to get them to really sort of focus on the importance of communicating and everybody being on the same page, whether two are blocking up front, how we're covering and adjusting the motions, in secondary, whatever. So that we get on the same page. Chattanooga obviously has had a really good season. The players, play hard, they compete well. Rusty Wright has done, a really good job there. I think they're like second in their league, 7-3, only lost 2 games in their league. So one of the most productive offensive teams. They've got a good quarterback. They've got good receivers. They run the ball with good balance. They're really well coached. Defensively, this guy Jay Pearson is, got lots of sacks and lots of tackles for losses, and these guys play hard. And like always, this is a great opportunity for these guys to play, in a game that they probably dream about. For our team, this is either a game that you focus on correctly, you go out and practice and prepare correctly, and you build on, the momentum that you've improved with over the last weeks. And that helps you get better for what's coming up in the future. So if you don't do that, you don't have a good showing. You sort of lose your rhythm. And, rhythm is a little bit like momentum. Sometimes you lose momentum in the game, it's hard to get it back. So you got to always play the next play and keep answering the bell. And, that's really kind of how we need to approach, this game in terms of, what our focus is and how we want to continue to improve as a team. If you're going to peak at the right time, you can't have peaks and valleys. You got to keep going in the right direction, and that's what we want to get our players to focus on this week in practice in preparation for this game.
Terrion mentioned that every team could use a Miss Terry, and she's helped with motivating and just staying locked in. I mean, how does she help the team during the season in terms of what she does to motivate players?
Well, her and Terrion are really kind of buddies. So I know she sort of texts with him and all that, and I kind of get on him. So it's just like kind of raising your children. I'm the guy that's always trying to get them to do right, and she's the mama who's always trying to make them happy. So that's the way it's been for a long time. Well, I think there's a lot of examples of guys that have done that probably in a lot of programs, but, I'm just here to speak about our program. But, a guy like Mac Jones who, didn't play until his fourth year and played very well when he did and developed. So I think it speaks volumes of their commitment to the program and seeing that if they do the right things, they're going to have success. We've had guys here that, do very well in the pros, even though in the NFL, even though they've had maybe not a significant role their entire career here, but played well at some point in time, and that gave them an opportunity. I think that, one of the big things that we try to get guys to understand is we have good players on our team, so you're going to have a better chance to develop because the competition in practice is actually going to be beneficial to your development. And I think that if guys can stay focused on long term in terms of what they're trying to develop and improve. We've had all these freshmen who want to play as freshmen. And we've had, I don't know, you can count them up. How many guys have gone out early for the draft? So if it's 45 guys, I don't know if that's the right number or not. I've had 32 phone calls times 45, whatever that number is, in the thousands, right? I've never been asked once how much a guy played as a freshman. Never. Not once. Everybody wants to know, what did you develop into? But yet, the whole mindset is, if I don't play right away, but that expectation gets created by a lot of external factors too. Not to put any of the blame on you all or anybody that says a guy's a 5-star and he should make this immediate impact and all this stuff. So that becomes the expectation. So when it doesn't happen, guys frustrated. I get that. I understand that. We got to try to get guys to be able to stay focused on what they have to do to develop as players, make improvement, so that when they do play, they create value for themselves, rather than worrying about just playing. But if you go out there and you don't play well, what kind of value are you creating for yourself? And what kind of confidence are you building? So all these things are things that we really try to emphasize with our young players, and the guys that buy into that, they end up doing pretty well.
In the beginning was Daytona, the great American race. Every driver looking to be remembered. Every fan looking for something they'll never forget. Secure your seats now at Daytona500.com.
Monday nights also mean it's time for Crimson Tide Rewind at Baumhauer's Victory Grill in Vestavia Hills. So many of our friends in the Birmingham area were able to join us last night, made a fun atmosphere as we got to recap Alabama's win against Kentucky, plus take a look ahead to what's coming up. Senior Day against Chattanooga this Saturday, the Iron Bowl, the SEC Championship, also right around the corner. The full episode is available on our YouTube page on demand, as well as the Alabama Insider podcast, but we wanted to have just a few segments from last night, what we always like to call Be Kind, Crimson Tide Rewind. We take a look back at last night's show with Corey Reamer. Corey, Alabama wins the SEC West.
Yeah, that's huge. That was, early in the season, probably people weren't expecting this to be the outcome given what we saw from the first few games. Obviously that Texas loss early, and then what we saw from South Florida, and the turnaround looked good against Ole Miss, but even a few games after that, it was kind of a grind to get some of those wins, and they kept finding ways to win the ball games, but the way that they're playing right now, I don't think many people expected it to look like it does at this point in the season. And this team is really peaking at the right time. Been playing well the last 3 weeks, and I was extremely impressed and surprised the way they showed up on Saturday. And this really shows a lot of the maturity level of this team, the way that they came out and jumped on them pretty quickly and handled their business. There was a lot of reasons for them not to do what they did Saturday. 11 a.m. start, coming off 2 emotional wins, playing on the road, a lot of guys out, and this team responded in a big way. You couldn't tell that they were really missing anybody. I mean, this team really played against a good Kentucky team. Their record might not be as good as it has been in the past few years, but this is still a quality opponent, and they went out there and handled their business.
Certainly did. Alabama picking up a 49-21 win against the Wildcats on Saturday, and if it weren't for a few miscues here and there, that could have been easily a 63-0 type game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's probably one of the takeaways that you have from this game is just a few of the mistakes, and those are the teachable moments that Coach Saban's going to go back with the staff. And if this team wants to continue to accomplish the goals that they've set out for themselves of winning the SEC and hopefully playing into a 14 playoff opportunity, those are the things that might separate wins versus losses against better opponents, especially at that point in the season. So while a lot was really good, there were still mistakes that were made that could be costly given you're playing against a different opponent. We've got an Auburn team that is we're not going to skip ahead from Chattanooga, but you got an Auburn team that is playing the best ball that they've been playing all season as well. We got to go to their place. We all know what happens when you're down in Jordan-Hare. And then if you got to go to Atlanta and face a Georgia team that's won back-to-back national championships. So the mistakes that we made didn't cost us this game, which is good. And these are learning moments, and we've made them throughout the season, and the team continues to learn from them. But there's still a few out there that we got to clean up that we might not have the luxury of being able to make and still win football games down the road.
Again, with the win against Kentucky, Alabama clinches the SEC West. The Crimson Tide going to the SEC Championship game for the 10th time under the direction of Coach Saban. And how about bookending the division eras of SEC football? 92 with the Western Division title, and now 2023. Yeah,
this is huge. This has got to be one of Coach Saban's more, enjoyable seasons, the way that this season has turned out. Got an opportunity to go play for the SEC after missing last year, and you look at the rosters and the team, the expectations for both of these teams. A lot of people probably expected last year's team to easily be in the SEC championship, and this is the team that a lot of new faces, a lot of young guys that are on this team, new coaching staff. This has got to be one of the best performances from Coach Saban in this coaching group, and these players of continuing to rally and go out there and find ways to win ball games. But this is huge for this team. This is huge for a lot of these guys. A lot of the pressure that was on them to find a way to get back into the SEC, and now here we are. We got an opportunity to go play Georgia, and it's going to be a pretty good matchup.
Corey, I want to know how Alabama's wide receivers, like on that play and the Amari Niblack touchdown, got so open, because the separation Alabama had in this game was more than any other game we've seen. That includes some other non-conference games like USF and Middle Tennessee.
I think it really starts with the designs from the play caller, Tommy Rees. This was one of the best performances from him, and I think it's just been a culmination of throughout the season trying to figure out what it is that Jalen Milroe can be successful doing. You don't want him just sit back there and being a pocket passer and having to go through 5 reads to find that open guy. The designs that they have for some of these route combinations that we saw on Saturday were some of the best, and those 2 touchdowns were great examples of it. I mean, the one to Nyblack, it was you had a wheel route coming out of the backfield into the boundary, pulls the corner because we didn't have a receiver out there. So it was a short set into the boundary, no wide receiver. You got a corner and a safety that are over there, run a wheel route with a running back out of the backfield. Both the corner and the safety are leaning towards the boundary, and Jalen Milroe did a great job of kind of like, it reminded me of that second 26 play where he's fooling him with his eyes. He's looking over there like he wants to throw the wheel route. Those guys lean over into the boundary, and then all of a sudden you're sneaking Nyblack in behind them. I thought it was a great play design. And we had a couple of those. Same thing on the Kobe Prentice, Kobe Prentice touchdown. Doing the same thing, rolling into the boundary. You've got all the defenders that are quarterbacks rolling out to the right to the short side of the field. All the route combinations are running towards the boundary, towards the sideline. And then from the other side of the field, you got a sail route coming over there from Kobe Prentice, and he's just wide open. It's just great zone coverage beaters on both of those plays. I think that we've now seen that Tommy Rees has really kind of dialed in at giving Jalen Milroe the best opportunities to be successful in the passing game, and it's showing up. In the route combinations have been absolutely phenomenal. I thought it was one of the most creative designs and play calling that we've seen so far this season.
We've seen that. We've also seen the balance from this Crimson Tide offense. So we talked about that a lot against what we saw against Tennessee and LSU. That's going to make it tough for all these opponents that Alabama's going to have coming up to game plan against this Tide offense.
And the thing that I noticed against this Kentucky team this weekend was I think they were so afraid of what Jalen Milroe can do with his feet. And it really just seemed like if he was moving at all around in the pocket or maybe starting to scramble, getting pushed out, making some plays with his feet, it's almost like the coverage just breaks down because guys don't know what to do. You've got a guy in man-to-man coverage, but you see Jalen Milroe rolling out, and you've got to make a decision. Do I run up and try to get him on the ground and leave my guy in man-to-man coverage? And that was the touchdown pass, I think, to Roydell Williams was where that happened. Guys got Roydell covered, but Jalen's out there running free, and you know he's about to take off. You got to come off your man-to-man coverage and try to get him stopped, and you're leaving a guy wide open. And the great thing is you're seeing Jalen Milroe being able to keep his eyes downfield and find those open guys when those opportunities present themselves. So it's got to be tough as a defensive unit, and it's something that's given Alabama defenses a lot of trouble in the past. Same type of guy. When you've got a quarterback that we always say a mobile quarterback is what gives Alabama trouble, but it's really mobile quarterbacks that are able to move but are still looking down the field to find open guys in the passing game. Those are just hard to cover because you can't account for that quarterback, especially if he gets past the defensive line. You're just outnumbered at that point. And that's what's always given us trouble in the past, and it gave Kentucky a lot of trouble on Saturday.
Certainly did. Were you concerned with some of the hits Jalen Milroe took in this ball?
Yeah, that first one, I know I was trying to really look and see, did he have a thigh pad on his leg? Because, these days it used to be where you had to have your knee pads in, and they had to be over your knees, and you had to be wearing thigh pads, or the referees wouldn't allow you to play. And it seems like you look around college football now, and some of these guys, their pants are almost like mid-thigh. They don't even come close to covering the knee. They got no pads in there. It really looks like an NFL type situation. So I was trying to figure out if he had a thigh pad in. And I couldn't tell. I think he did, but they're pretty thin. And that pop on the thigh, it hurts. It was kind of like a dead leg situation. You saw him on the bike and then he's wrapped up with a heating pad the entire day. I bet he's probably feeling some pain yesterday and today trying to get that. It's probably pretty bruised up, but you got to give him a lot of credit. He fought through it. And every time he came over the sideline, he was getting treatment and on the bike trying to keep it loose before it doesn't tighten up. And that might have also changed some of the game plan or maybe his decision making of, I really don't want to take off and run anymore, so I'm going to start using my arm a little bit. And Kentucky was really committed to stopping the running game, and it allowed for a lot of opportunities for Jalen Milroe to make plays with his arm. I don't want to see him take those, but those are going to come with the territory, especially when you got a guy that's built like Derrick Henry, likes to run the football, lowers his shoulder, he doesn't shy away from contact. Some of those are going to come, but unfortunately, he takes a helmet right to the leg, and that is a painful situation.
With the gain down to the 2, it's first and goal, Bama. Milroe and McClellan in the backfield for the Crimson Tide. Jalen waiting on the snap with 2 wide outs to the right side. He'll run behind McClellan. He'll get to the goal line. He'll get in the end zone. Touchdown, Alabama.
Time to take a look at the prescription for success. It's presented by Payless Drugs. Payless Drugs, your locally owned family pharmacy with 4 locations in Birmingham. Payless can handle your prescriptions, over-the-counter solutions, and home delivery. Payless at mynewpharmacy.com. Again, coming up on Saturday, the final home game of the season at Bryant-Denny Stadium. It's senior day, and kind of regardless of the opponent, it's always emotional when you see this last ball game of the season come up on the schedule at home.
Yeah, it's hard to believe we're already here at this point in the season. It just seems like we started it not too long ago, but this has been a fun year. It's one where you know back in 2020 when you knew you were going to go out there and just dominate every game, you win by 3 touchdowns. It's fun, but some people like a little bit more drama, and we've gotten plenty of it this year. But this is a team that you got to be proud of as a fan, just the way that they've continued to fight, and these guys continue to show up and try to win ball games. They've competed at such a high level, and what you're seeing now is they've just got this swagger about them that they did not have at the beginning of the season. It's almost like when they show up on the field, they know they're going to win ball games, and you got to have a little bit of that mindset. We talked about it a few times throughout this season. Sometimes we could come out flat, and it really took like a Jermaine Burton outburst, talking trash to the opposing team or to the fans or to the coaches or whoever to get some emotion going from this team. But now, these last few games, the confidence is high for this team, and they believe in themselves of going out there. They know they can win if they execute. Obviously, Coach Saban referenced a few mistakes that we made. We got to clean those up, but I will take a few of those, but with this kind of an attitude that we have of going out there and believing in ourselves, knowing that if we go out there and execute at a high level, we can win any ball game that we play in.
How emotional is that senior day experience?
It is. I mean, we played Chattanooga for my senior day as well, and it's you kind of, as a player, you're, especially in Tuscaloosa, you're not brainwashed, but you're so focused on the job at hand. It's nice to take that moment to be able to get recognized of all the work that you've put in and everything that you've been through and the success that you were having down there. It's fun to go out there, have your family out there with you, and then you got to turn around and play football too. It's pretty quickly, but it's a lot of fun for these guys. Well deserved for every senior class that goes out there. It means a lot to be able to wear that jersey, and it's sad at the same time that you know that it's coming to an end, that your college career is eventually going to be over with, but it's a good moment for you to be able to appreciate what you've been able to be a part of as a team, and have your brothers that are out there that you've done a lot with. I mean, it's a full-time commitment for these guys, and it's a great way to be honored.
Absolutely. And what, usually presented with a frame jersey?
You get a ball. You get a ball with your name on it, and I guess that's for your mom and your dad or whatever, but you get to take your picture with Coach Saban. Everybody remembers those, and everybody gets those framed afterwards. So it's a fun day. The big thing is you definitely don't want to lose on senior day. You got to go out there and take care of business. But it's fun. I mean, it's a good moment for a little appreciation. The crowd's always there. They're always excited to see those seniors that get to go out there. And it's all seniors because what Coach Saban always talks about is everybody plays a role. Everybody's got a role, from scout team to walk-ons to scholarship to starters. All the seniors get recognized, and that's a big moment for everybody across the board, because there's a lot of people that are on this team that never get any type of recognition throughout the season or their career, period. They've never dressed out or they've never played a snap, but they played an integral role for this team to have success. They're giving you looks on scout team. They're showing up to workouts just like you are. They're going through the exact same things that you're going through. So it's great that everybody gets to be recognized.
All right, I asked about the jersey because it's kind of curious. All right. Through your career at Alabama, how many game-used either jerseys or helmets were you able to hang on to and keep?
I grabbed as many as I possibly could. Okay. Tank Connolly was our equipment manager at the time, and he was pretty stingy he made sure that those jerseys got put back in the bag to be taken home and washed to be used. He did not, every time I had a pair of socks that got a hole in them, if I ever threw them away and tried to get new ones, he'd ask where the old ones were. So he didn't want you walking away with a lot of your stuff. I got one helmet that I got to keep after the season, after we won in 2009. I had a few jerseys, your bowl jerseys you always get to keep. That's got the patch on it. They usually let you hold on to those, or any specialty jerseys, which we didn't do a ton of. We did have one jersey that had the houndstooth collar that one year, and I don't think I got to hold on to that either. So there's a few that are out there that I wish I knew where they came from, because I'd love to have them in my closet, but I've got enough. I've got one that's framed. It was the national championship jersey. I'm excited. I think I maybe got one or two more. So not a ton. They might have changed they might be a little more lenient now now on what you get to hold on to. The gear is a little bit better than it was for what we got when I was in Tuscaloosa.
Still pretty cool.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's coming up on a senior day. Again, some great moments to recognize an outstanding senior class that still has a lot in front of it. The 2024 Daytona 500 is right around the corner, and you won't want to miss this once-in-a-lifetime experience. Bring the whole family and purchase your tickets today at Daytona500.com. Again, Crimson Tide Rewind, always a fun way to cap the previous game and take a look at what's coming up for Crimson Tide football. Speaking of what's coming up, not just for Alabama football, but basketball as well, it's time to take a look at what is coming up across our upcoming schedule. It's always brought to you by Wickles Pickles. They are wickedly delicious. I have the relish can here with me. We always have the pickle chips available as well on set. You can make more Wickles Pickles products available to your next tailgate just by going online to wicklespickles.com. Let's see what's coming up across the Crimson Tide Sports Network. Well, later tonight, it's Alabama men's basketball against South Alabama as the Crimson Tide look to start the season at 3-0 in men's basketball, just like we've seen from the women's team. 7 p.m. the tip-off. Our radio airtime will be at 6 p.m. all across the network. And then coming up on Thursday, a very busy day, not only Tide TV this week and Crimson Drive with new episodes, but also 6:30, Hey Coach and the Nick Saban Show from Baumhauer's. And at 6 p.m., it'll be women's basketball against USF. We certainly look forward to that ball game coming up as Alabama again looks to continue rising and trying to grow to 4-0 on the season. On Friday night, the men's basketball team back in action against Mercer. Again, a 6 p.m. airtime, 7 o'clock the tip-off, and that will lead us right into Saturday's fun at Bryant-Denny Stadium for the final time this season. The Crimson Tide playing at home. We'll be on the radio starting at 8 a.m. for that 11 a.m. kickoff against Chattanooga. Then on Sunday, we'll take a look back at the ball game with the Nick Saban television show with Chris Stewart and Coach Saban. Also on Sunday, the women's basketball team will be on the road for the first time this season, taking on Little Rock in Arkansas. So we look forward to that. And then again, next Monday, we will have an edition of Crimson Tide Rewind looking back at the Chattanooga game. But as you can imagine, we're also going to talk plenty about the upcoming Iron Bowl. So it's going to be a busy stretch here on the Crimson Tide Sports Network. And we look forward to having you join us. Make sure you follow us on our social media platforms listed below. A lot of clips, a lot of content all throughout the week here on the network. And that's going to wrap up this edition of Crimson Drive, driven by NASCAR. Huge thank you to our guest, Chris Braswell, as well as Corey Reamer for his time last night. We thank Ethan Carabin for putting this entire show together, our video producer, and we thank all of you for watching. Now let's get ready for some Crimson Tide basketball coming up later tonight, and of course, football getting ready for Saturday against Chattanooga. For everybody at the Crimson Tide Sports Network, I'm Roger Hoover saying so long on this Tuesday, and Roll Tide.